Welcome to the Productpreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Delarzak, product development and marketing coach and mom of three. Learn from and get inspired by women entrepreneurs killing it in the product space. Each episode, we will share the latest trends, proven strategies, and inside secrets of the product world, all designed to give you greater confidence to create your own success through a product venture. Let's do this. Welcome to the Productpreneur Podcast. Have you thought about using video to grow your business, but you're too shy or you have no idea what to talk about on camera? After listening to today's guest, you are going to be sold on using video. Before we move on with the show, I'll share a listener review. This one is from Erica Tebbins. Love the episode with Robin Graham. I recently found this podcast through Robin when she was a guest. I love the discussion on building a magnetic brand because it's so important. As someone who sold products for over a decade, this podcast is a must listen. Well, thank you so much, Erica. I'm so happy to hear that you find this podcast helpful. Reviews like this mean so much to me, and also, in case you're not aware, it pushes the show into the hands of more people. If you're listening and love the podcast, please take a few seconds to jump on Apple Podcasts through your iTunes account, click on ratings and reviews, and add a review. Or I know there are lots of Android users out there and they wonder how to rate it. So I found a handy link you can use on whatever device you're on. Just go to ratethispodcast.com/productpreneur and you can rate it and it will point you to whatever rating system that works for your device. It's super cool. Also, you may have heard that I'm offering a free one-on-one strategy session at this time. This is perfect for you if you'd like help with scaling your product business or if you're thinking of launching a product. We'll talk about your business or idea and you'll walk away with action items and I'll let you know what working with me is like if it's a fit. You can go to NicoleDelarzak.com and book it there or click on the link in the show notes. Now on with the show. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Michelle Daides about how to launch and grow your product-based business with videos and social media videos. Michelle Daides is an award-winning director-producer as well as the CEO at MD Media Inc., a leading video production company. Michelle is also a strategic storyteller, content creator, and on-camera coach. She has worked with a ton of talent, including Debbie Travis, Scott McGillivray, Samantha Pinn, Chef Roger Mooking, and lots of A-list celebrities. You're going to learn all about using video to grow your product-based business, including how video is critical to growing your business, the formula to creating a solid video, how to sell your product on camera without being cheesy, tips to creating great videos including the tech, mistakes to avoid when doing video, and more. Hold on to your seats because this is going to be a fun ride. Let's learn from the pro herself, Michelle.
Welcome, Michelle. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Really excited about being on your podcast.
Yeah, it's super exciting. I love this topic of video, and I don't think we've had anybody come on the podcast to talk about video. So this is going to be super interesting, especially for our listeners who are launching a product-based business or have a product-based business to see how they can grow their business through video. So I'm so excited to hear about this. So before we get started, I'd love to know more about your journey and your journey to becoming an entrepreneur, but also your journey to becoming an expert in video.
And what a journey it's been. So the entrepreneurial journey, I want to say that it started at a super young age. My dad was an entrepreneur and I was always that kid who had the lemonade stand, the newspaper route, a bookstore, like so many random things, a theater company at one point. And then I was working a corporate job in product placement in film and television and met a woman who convinced me to start a PR and marketing company. And me being me in Aries, I decided to jump without a net and said, sure. Left my job, started that company, and then eventually morphed into my own company. So when I first started, MD Media Inc. was primarily a public relations and marketing firm, but with social media, PR really changed. So I had to figure out, how do I shift my business as we are right now in the pandemic? It was sort of a similar time. And I always had a passion for film and television and performance. I also went to Ryerson. So I was like, how do I monetize video? So about 7 years ago, I shifted my business to be primarily video production and marketing. And now I do that today. And
I love doing what I do.
Very cool. Now, do you mostly do video production, or I know you also coach entrepreneurs on video? What would you say is kind of your focus, or do you kind of do a bit of both?
I think a bit of both. So definitely my primary focus is producing engaging content, video content for entrepreneurs and big business.
Mhm.
But I think my sort of differentiator in terms of just being a regular production company is that I do have training as an actor, and I really understand that there's roadblocks to people doing their own content because they're so fearful of the lens, and that's totally normal. So I do offer on camera training and coaching and e-courses to help you get over your fear of the lens.
That's amazing because I think many people, anybody really struggles with video. And that's the first thing I hear is, oh, I'm so uncomfortable on video. And if you're not like from that business or from that world, it can be really daunting. So, what do you think people struggle with when it comes to video and how do you help them?
So I think the first thing is basically getting over yourself. So realizing really like we're all in our own heads. We have to
Yeah.
realize that video content is here to stay. Video and film and TV has been here since almost the beginning. Well, I don't want to say the beginning of time, but it's been around for at least a century, and it continues to, grow, and Netflix is like a huge consumable content and online viewing. So we really have to understand how to leverage power of video. So it's about getting over yourself. It's about understanding that everybody has to do video in some form and just going for it and realizing that unless you're an actor and you're paid to show up and do this work every day, don't expect to be perfect, but it's all about practice. So the more you do, the better you'll get. It's like riding a bike.
Oh, that's great advice. Yeah, I think you're right. Just getting over yourself is the biggest thing. Like, I always find when I record things and I'm looking at it afterwards, I cringe. I'm like, oh, it's so awkward. Oh, but after a while, you just kind of get into it and you get more practice. You become more natural. So true. Such good advice. Actually, I even went to one of your workshops that you did for entrepreneurs on getting comfortable with video. And it's probably the biggest thing that's helped me, I have to say. So thank you for that. It's helped me in my video, but also in my podcasting. And I think the number one tip that is always like I keep in mind whenever I do video or podcasts is to smile when you speak because it changes your voice, your intonation, your energy, and everything. Oh my gosh, that was the best tip ever. So thank you for that.
I'm so glad I could help, and I'm glad you found the tips useful. And yet, people don't realize what smiling can do, as awkward as it seems. It does change your energy and your tone and your expression and your delivery. And it's just a little tip, but it goes a long way.
Oh, yes. Game changer for sure. Now, as I think about it, video has really come to the forefront for the regular person in the past few years since social media arose. Like anybody can be on video, anybody can be on YouTube. It's really like democratized basically. And now anyone really can develop their own TV show. Whereas in the past, it used to be just actors and so on. So how do you think that shift is changing things? And what would you say to people who, are hesitant to start video?
I think you've totally nailed it. Video is so easy to make now, and it's not expensive, right?
Right.
Back in the day, you'd have to buy these, tens of $1,000 cameras, and you'd have to have a crew and this, that, and the other. But now you have your phone. You have your phone,
Right.
you have TikTok, you have all kinds of platforms that make things easy. So in terms of just doing it, again, I can rhyme off a million different stats of, why you should be using video. Like Facebook has 8 billion viewers a day. There are so many different things of why you should, in addition to being an entrepreneur or productpreneur, you also have to look at yourself as a content creator. Because if you look at yourself as a content creator, that's a whole other piece of your business that you'll be able to leverage in terms of sales, because you'll understand that content right now and really anytime is what drives your business.
Yeah. And for product businesses, would you say it's the same as for service businesses?
I think actually more important, product businesses have to have a roster of content that they're accessing and that they're creating and distributing, because there's a whole element of show and tell because some products aren't easily recognizable in terms of what their functions are. But if you have like a show and tell video that explains what the product does and the features and the benefits and showing the product in action, you're going to be able to have a huge sales tool at your fingertips.
Oh, yes, that's true. Yeah, it is very visual and tangible to have like a product that you could show, play with, and whatever. So you're selling the product, but then you're also selling yourself. So you're the one on camera. And would you say that's true? Like, how much should product businesses get in front of the camera as the person behind the product?
So there's the real answer, and then there's what the answer should be. So basically, I'd say every day you should be on camera. Is that realistic? Probably
Wow.
not. But let's say that at least once a week to twice a week, you should be on camera. So whether that's a pre-recorded video or a live, but people want to know about the person that's created or the person who's the brand spokesperson with the product. They want to know who that person is. They want to hear from you about different things. It's not necessarily specifically about the product, but they want to hear about you and your life and why you created the product, how it's changed lives, that kind of thing. So there's a customer journey piece that people often forget in terms of product and content creation. You were saying like how often people should create content for product, but there's so many different pieces of content that you can create for products. It's not just what does the product do? It's how does that product serve you? How does the product serve potential customers? How does it work? Is there an educational component to it? Do you use
Right.
videos? Like, how do you not come across as being cheesy?
So, if a product business owner wants to create videos, how do they make it sound like it's not just a sales pitch? Like, what kind of tips would you give there?
So I think you always have to approach video content creation from a storytelling perspective. Don't think about the sales message. Think about how you're serving your customers with your product. So tell a story. That's it. Basically, tell a story, educate, talk about what your product can do, and veer away from that hard line, you must buy my product, because consumers nowadays are way too intelligent, way too informed, and that hard sell doesn't work. But if you're
Mm.
offering them tips or educational content, or you're addressing a pain point, or you're solving a problem, you're telling a story, you're going to get consumers to buy into your product without even doing the hard sell.
Right, right, exactly. And actually, something you hit on is the why behind it, right? Simon Sinek says it's not important what you do, it's more important why you do it, or something like that. So, the why of the product, and people buy into that more than just talking about the features and benefits and all that. So, that's interesting. Storytelling, I love it.
Yeah.
And how can someone who's just launching a product leverage video and social media videos to attract their ideal customer?
Very early on in the journey, in the product launch journey, I really do feel that entrepreneurs need to create a roster of content that, again, like we just spoke about, that educates and informs their consumer about what this product does and how it solves a problem.
So, would you say that they should create this content and then use it? Like when you say create a roster of content, is it like they should have a data bank of different videos?
I think, again, one of the things that entrepreneurs or business owners might think is that they need just one piece of content. But as we know with social media, you have to continually be creating content. And I know that that can seem really intimidating. So even if you started off with a brand video, and you can cut or edit that video in multiple different ways so that they're consumable pieces of content. Let's say that whole brand video is about a minute and a half. You could cut that feasibly into 20-second chunks that you then release at different times. And that's one way of creating content. The other way, again, is just, on your phone, doing lives, doing webinars. There's so many different types of video content that people don't even realize that they can do besides just a typical video. So, like I said, educational webinars, lunch and learns, again, on your phone, lives. There's so many different pieces that you can create in terms of this roster of content. I think the thing that people don't realize that there has to be strategy with video. With any other form of marketing, video also has to have a strategy. So great, you can create a piece of content and you can put it out, but so what if 3 people see it? So how are you going to leverage that content and how are you going to keep getting eyeballs? So the way you're going to keep getting eyeballs is consistency, frequency. So again, back to that question of roster of content, create a bank of content that you can drip throughout your launch period so that people are continuing to learn about your product. Maybe you're giving a tip every day. Maybe you're showing one function or benefit of your product throughout your launch phase and just build the awareness that way. So you have to think about strategy. It's not just willy-nilly creating videos because then you're just wasting your time. Think about
Right.
strategy before you even do anything when you're launching your product.
That's so true. And everything starts with strategy. So, like, it could be, as you said, it's how you use the video and how many different ways and all the ways it feeds into your content. Probably also the message of the video and the content within the video, right? And to make sure that's getting across your key points. Would you say like they need to have a really good idea of what exactly they are going to talk about?
Absolutely. I highly recommend that you put together 3 to 5 key messages before you even hit the record button. You need to know what those key messages are and what message you're trying to convey to your consumer in that particular video. Because what's going to happen is one, you're going to get nervous, and two, you're going to go off topic and you're not going to make any sense to the viewer. As we continue with content, like content is flooding us continually. We have to stand out. You have about, depending on who you ask, anywhere between 3 and 8 seconds to grab the attention of your viewer. And if you're rambling and you don't hit them in the first 3 seconds with what you're going to talk about and what your video's going to be about, you've lost them. So
that's a good point. So what would be your, say, formula for developing that video? Like, or any video? Is there like sort of things you'd have to do?
Yeah, start with your hook right away. In the first 3 seconds, 3 to 5 seconds, tell people what you're talking about. And you can tease to it and then continue with your tips or tricks or whatever it is. But talk about the purpose of your video right in the first 3 seconds. Do something, make it interesting, have an interesting background, make it move so that it's not just a talking head, maybe show the product. But again, our attention spans 3 to 8 seconds, depending on who you ask. So you have that little time to grab them.
Okay, what's an example of a good hook? Is it like, today I'm going to be talking about this product, blah, blah, blah. Like, is it that easy, or is it something really more creative that you should talk about? I bet you didn't know this thing. I'm going to talk about the top thing that's going to make you surprised, or whatever. Like, what would you say is a good kind of
I
hook?
think asking a question like you just mentioned is always a great hook. So asking a question that addresses a pain point. Do you have trouble sleeping? Well, I have this sleep pillow that'll help you da 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 da. So let's make you
Right.
get a da 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 da. Here are my 3 tips of how you can have a great sleep with blah 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 ABZ sleep pillow. So ask a question, maybe show the
Okay.
product, show it in use.
Yeah, no, that's good to know, because I mean, I just think back to many of my own videos where I'd come on camera and then start talking. But no, you're right. Like, you need to like hook people in, or else it's really dull and people don't know what to expect. So they will tune out. That's so true. Would you say that's the case for any kind of video, like stories and professional videos? Or does it really matter when you're doing something off the cuff, like a story, Instagram story?
That's a really good question. So I honestly think you really do have to think about that hook and getting the attention because again, we're flooded with content. So it doesn't really matter what kind of video you're creating, whether it's a reel, a live, whatever it is, think about your hook in the first couple seconds. And it could be a visual hook. So if you don't want to put the message in right away, think about something compelling that's going to grab the eyeballs, really. I think TikTok is a really great example to show people how, that scroll next. So you immediately, the videos that go viral are those ones that have the hook right away and catch people. So if it's like mascara, you all of a sudden, a plain eye and then the mascara eye and it's like popping. And then you're like, oh, I need to watch this.
Right. And TikTok is a good example because it's really short video content that people have started to gravitate towards, which is like 30 to 60 seconds, which is now like what Reels are doing as well. And is there anything else that, in terms of the structure of your video, that you should think about? Like you mentioned, having 3 points. Would you say like having maybe a number of points to cover?
Yeah, I would focus on 3 to 5 points. 3 is better. So you have your, I'd call it your hook. So your opening line, your hook, your 3 points, and then your call to action.
What's the next step they should take?
You need to really hold customers by the hand and tell them what they're going to do next. So what do you want them to do? Click on your website, subscribe, whatever it is. But again, we have to be careful not to oversell. So I would never say buy now. So it's not something cheesy like that. It's just, what do you want them to do? Visit your site, subscribe, watch more, tell me what you think, motivate them, ask them a question at the end. That could also be your hook too.
Yes, that's so true. I think that's with any kind of marketing, is always to have a call to action. And so video is not different than that. Okay. And for product-based businesses, in terms of social media, you've already mentioned they should be posting at least once a week, once, twice a week. Where would you say they should be posting?
So the where, again, if we look at strategy, is when I speak to clients, I always want to figure out who their target market is, because not every platform is going to work for every customer or every product. So once you figure out where your target market hangs out, that's where you want to put your energy into. So for example, if we look at someone who has a product that's targeted at moms, moms often hang out on Facebook. They frequent Facebook groups and Facebook community groups. They're on Facebook. So I would say put your efforts into building your video content on Facebook. If you're a B2B product-based business, like a software company, for example, they hang out on LinkedIn. So you want to focus your energy on creating video content on LinkedIn. And apparently LinkedIn has just started a live feature. So that's something to think about as well.
Okay. And are there any other platforms that you say that you should watch out for? Like, for example, TikTok has come to mind as something that's up and coming. Would you say that it just, again, depends on the customer?
It does depend on the customer, but I think TikTok is essential for every business right now because of what it does in terms of eyeballs. The conversion rates are crazy. If you can get something to go viral on TikTok, and especially product-based businesses versus services. So we look at so many examples. I don't know if you remember the recent example with the ocean spray.
No,
Did you hear
I don't
about
know that
ocean spray?
example.
So there was a gentleman whose car broke down. I know his handle on TikTok, but anyways, his car broke down and he decided that he was going to skateboard to work while drinking his ocean spray, and the music was Dreamer by Fleetwood Mac. And long story short, the video went viral and like ocean spray sales went crazy and all these people were copying the videos and drinking ocean spray. There are like so many examples. There's a local example with Dairy Queen Ancaster, and I love this example. So there is a family that owns 2 Dairy Queens, one in Hamilton and one in Ancaster, and the 17-year-old decided she was going to create these custom cake videos. And every day she creates them, and they've gone viral, and people travel from all over to have her cakes. And she posts these TikTok videos, and the sales have raised exponentially for these Dairy Queen locations. Other examples are like Maybelline. There's a Maybelline Sky High mascara that also, people were creating these videos, and it went viral, these videos, and now, you can't find this product. People go to Shoppers Drug Mart, it's sold out. Beauty products specifically on TikTok do really, really well.
So these are the brands who are doing these, or these are people using them and getting the eyeballs?
Yeah, I would say it's influencer driven. So, it depends the way you look at it. So whether it's the PR companies or the PR specialists at these companies that are putting the products in the hands of these influencers who then create these videos. But it's a huge way, and back to that, a soft sell way to sell products.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I've heard a lot that TikTok really just the ability to get organic reach on TikTok is much higher than other platforms for now, anyway.
Yeah, for now,
So,
I would
yeah.
say for product-based businesses, jump on the TikTok trend. Absolutely, because you can play the algorithms if you know how to play them really well and get, viral videos pretty easily. I hate the word viral, but to be honest, TikTok is the place to do that. And I just think it's for every business. And some people say, oh, I'm too old to be on TikTok. Well, I'm past a certain golden age. Well, not golden age, but I'm past a certain age. And I've just joined TikTok, and I'm going to see what it does for my business. But I can honestly say for product-based businesses, TikTok is the way to go because it's easy, fast, and you can just get eyeballs really quickly.
Right. Okay. Everyone, you heard it. Yeah, I just started TikTok as well, and my kids laugh at me about it. My husband laughs at me. He's like, "What are you doing? Or who are you targeting? Teenagers?" I'm like, "No, no, it's the next big thing. You don't understand." Although my son has more followers than I do, so it's so funny.
Yeah, I have a crazy
Yeah.
story with my 5-year-old who actually overtook my account, which I have then had to change the name, but he did a duet video and it ended up getting 25,000 views in less than 24 hours. We had to
Whoa.
make the account private because it wasn't safe. But yeah, so it's just
Wow.
a matter of doing something crazy that grabs
Mm,
people's attention.
right.
Mhm.
And what about YouTube? Because YouTube is like the new way people watch shows right now. How important do you think that is for product businesses?
People forget that YouTube's owned by Google and Google's the number one search engine.
Mm,
So, if we want to talk about ranking and SEO and searchability and online visibility, you definitely want to look at YouTube in terms of posting your content. Now, YouTube's a little different because it's based on views and watch time. So, with YouTube, you can go a little longer with your content. Ideally, the sweet spot for YouTube videos is 10 minutes. I realize
oh.
that's a long time, but that's when you start playing the algorithms. And if there's a monetization piece in your business, you want to look at 10 minutes.
Really? Okay.
Mhm.
I was thinking more like 3 to 4 minutes is kind of people's attention span, but 10 minutes. Wow.
It's a little bit of a different platform from a monetization perspective, but it's about
Okay.
10 minutes for that. Of course, you can post videos that are shorter, but if you look at any of those, like always look at like gaming videos because those perform
Right.
really well. Those, they're going on for like 25 minutes where these kids are playing games and you're following along. I know my kids watch gaming videos all the time, but for those people to monetize, they need to be at least 10 minutes.
Huh. Wow. Okay.
Mhm.
Interesting. Any other tips on these platforms? Like for example, I heard YouTube, you should post once a day, same for TikTok, but would you say that is the case if you're going to do a video platform, do you really need to be posting that often?
It depends on what your purpose is. So, again, for content creators who rely heavily on monetization, then absolutely they have to post once a day to twice a day. And
Hmm.
same with sales. Like if you really want to build your sales in terms of a product-based business, you do want to post once a day. And it can be just something really quick. So again, TikTok makes it really easy to post something silly and do it once a day. Put it in your calendar that that's part of your sales strategy is to post on TikTok once a day. It's a
Hmm.
challenge.
Yeah, for sure. And so I think the next question most people will be asking is once a day, how do I come up with all these ideas for creating videos? I'm going to run out of content. So what would you say to that?
That's a hard question, but you need to again look at the strategy piece is that you have to create a content calendar and do it ahead of time. And yes, it may feel overwhelming. So think about things like collaboration. So maybe you're not creating all the content by yourself. Maybe you're looking at an influencer or an expert or someone who you can collaborate with who can help you create the content because it is very daunting to be doing that all the time. And look at trends, like specifically if we go back to TikTok again, look at trends. So what's trending? So if there's like a challenge, maybe you could do one for your business. Look at what's hot, look at seasons, look at holidays. So you really have to, from a social media perspective, do the same thing for video. But yeah, you can run out of ideas for sure. And you have to think about repurposing content. So, how do you repurpose your content? So, maybe you, again, film a professional video that gets edited, like I mentioned before as an earlier example, and it gets edited a few different ways so that you can continue to use the same piece of content over and over again.
Right. That's really good. But yeah, you're right. It has to be a strategy, or else you'll feel like, oh, I have no ideas. But actually, when you start writing it out, you do have a lot of ideas. And then, you can always get inspiration from others, not, of course, not copying, but getting inspiration from other brands and what they're doing and see what people are searching and so on.
And the other thing I was going to say is brands do it successfully is look at user generated content. So what I mean by that is look to your consumers and maybe you can gauge them or challenge them to do
Mm.
videos for you.
And then just use their videos or kind of layer something onto their video.
Yeah, I think both strategies work is, motivate them. Maybe there's a contest element, maybe, you use the hashtag, but you always have to give them credit. So always credit them. But I think user generated content is often overlooked, and that takes a bit of the stress out of you always creating the content.
Right. It's kind of like sharing something. If someone tags you on your stories, you're going to share whatever they mentioned about you. So it's the same kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good point. What are some mistakes that entrepreneurs make when it comes to making video, or, just things that you kind of go, oh, I wish they didn't do that?
Well, the first mistake is not creating video.
Oh, okay.
So you definitely have to think about when you're launching a product or a service or whatever it is, that video has to be part of your marketing strategy, especially now.
Oh, got it. Okay. Thank you for that reminder.
Absolutely. Second, I would say is as much as we realize that as productpreneurs, you need to also be content creators, but in addition to that, you have to also realize the value of hiring a professional to do some of your videos. So, for example, I would hate to see a video that's created by, I don't want to say an amateur, but just the everyday entrepreneur that's on your website as your brand video or your lead generator video. Unless you have crazy skills that you can do it yourself, that it looks professional, I would hate that because first impressions are really important. So that brand video, you really do need to hire a professional to make something sleek and that kind of thing. And then if you're a bigger product, for commercials, you want to look at hiring, a professional production team as well. So thinking about where these videos are going and who they're serving, but you have to have a combination of, again, videos created by yourself for your product or your brand versus, professional videos.
Oh, that's a great point. Yeah, because you think about it, it's so easy to make it on your phone. So a lot of entrepreneurs probably feel tempted to do their video themselves, which is the same thing I'd say for like product photography. A lot of entrepreneurs are tempted to do the photography themselves, but it's so important when it's on your website. Like that is your one impression, your first impression for people who are coming and seeing your product. So that's a great point. Yeah. And what other mistakes do people make? I'm sure there's lots that you gotta cringe at.
So bad lighting and bad sound. So bad lighting is you're filming things, not by a window in the dark. It's really easy to fix. And bad sound. So not using a microphone and maybe filming outside where there's lots of noise distractions. So really thinking about sound and lighting are probably the two most important things when creating your own videos.
Now, if you are kind of on a budget and you want to make a video, what are some pieces of equipment that you would recommend having as kind of just a minimum? Is it your phone and something else, or?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think one of the barriers to people creating, on top of being fearful of the lens, is that tech piece is it's overwhelming. So what do I use? What do I invest in? And yeah, if you want to create your own videos, some of the phones now are just their cameras are amazing. Like I don't know if you saw that iPhone commercial, the hockey commercial recently, but the phones are amazing. You can film a feature length film, and it has been done before on a camera if you know how to use it. On a mobile phone.
Whoa! Wow.
Yeah. So again, it's back to that lighting and sound. That's what I would invest in. Often people are always asking, what's the best ring light to purchase? And I'm not a big fan of ring lights. So I would say an umbrella light. So what an umbrella light is it looks like an umbrella. Most photographers use it. You can get them on Amazon. They're maybe like $100. And the difference between an umbrella light and a ring light is the umbrella light diffuses the light. So what that does is it avoids the shadows. So the ring lights often give these very harsh sort of shadows and whatever versus an umbrella light that diffuses the light. And then I would say a lav mic. So a lav mic is like a piece of sound equipment that you would, like an external microphone that you would pin onto your shirt, and you would use that as part of your setup.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
again,
well, that makes sense because then people don't see the mic.
yeah, again, you like, to be honest, I really hate when I see earbuds, those like with the white wires hanging in your videos. It's not necessary. Like, you can use a lav mic. Again, I would say it's like under $100. Lavalier is the brand. And you can, or Rode or Shure, there's like a few different brands that you can buy, but get an external lav mic.
Okay. And this would be for more professional videos. It's not like a story that you're doing on Instagram. It's more, would you say, for these more professional types, or?
Again, it depends how you want your product to be perceived. I think it's important to heighten up your professional game. Like, there's nothing wrong with having a lav mic when you're doing stories. The same way that you'll probably put on lipstick. It's the same thing. Like, you want to put your best foot forward. Again, we have 3 seconds. We're inundated with content. What's going to stand out? Well lit and, great sound in a video.
Right.
And are you going to, again, like, look at someone who's professionally polished when they're, doing videos, or are you going to watch someone who's disheveled with their hair messy in a sweatshirt?
True.
I get it. We have forgiveness right now, but you have to just think about, if you're trying to sell a product, you need to amp up the professional game.
Very good advice. Awesome. I'm going to be getting that lav mic. That sounds cool. And I do have a ring light, so I did not know that.
I mean, they're great.
I should have talked to you.
No, that's okay. I mean, they serve a purpose. But again, if you look at professional sets, they're not using ring lights. And Amazon's made things affordable. So you can get an umbrella light. You can even using a lamp, like a regular lamp with a shade, has better light than a ring light.
Good to know. Thank you for those tips.
No problem.
All right. So what are some key elements of a great video that are going to attract customers to their website? So we talked about mistakes. Is there anything else that you'd say in terms of creating a great video? Good lighting, good sound.
So again, for that one video, if you're going to just even have one video on your website, that is your brand video, that's what I'm going to call it, you need it to be shot by a professional. I wouldn't do it yourself. Unless, like I said, you have the skills of a professional. You want that product video, the video that showcases the features, products, benefits, shot by a professional, because they're going to do some amazing tricks that make your product really shine. They're going to put in something called B-roll, which is like the visuals that match the voiceover or brand messaging, and they're going to create a story for you, I would hope. So I think it's really important for that first sort of calling card piece of when people are checking out your product, that video is really compelling and really polished.
Wow. Okay. And would you say, like, if you don't have that professional video done, then just don't put it on your website because that'll be worse, or depends probably?
It's a double-edged sword. I might say that if you can't afford a video at your launch time, that maybe you get some professional product shots done.
Okay. Got it.
But you'd be surprised how cost-effective video can be. So it is really worth investigating.
Yeah. And I don't think people think about that. That's for sure. I think people think about their product images, but not necessarily video.
And even if we think about Kickstarter campaigns, crowdfunding campaigns, if you look at the products that perform the best are products that have video.
Right. That's so true. And they're usually really well done video, because it's so hard to see on a website what it is like in sort of 3D being used and so on. So if you have that video, you can see what it's like.
Exactly.
Interesting. Well, that's definitely food for thought. Do you think that everyone could benefit from a video on their website?
100%. So even if we use a landing page as an example, so there's an 87% conversion rate, with video versus not video. Again, yeah, 87%. That's a huge
Are you
stat.
serious?
I'm serious.
So any landing page, that's why you see when you land on these professional, like well-known people, that you always see a video that's attached to that landing page. Like there's some kind of video. Yeah.
Yeah, because the conversion rates are high. It's also algorithms, SEO. It's the same with your website. If you have a video on your website, and that's the number one thing a web developer will tell you, even a web banner at the top, any kind of video, it's going to help you convert and help you rank better. That's just one of the simple tricks for SEO.
Really? A video helps you rank better. Why is that?
It's algorithms. It's where you post it. It's just videos, a favored piece of content.
So many interesting tips. I think that everyone's going to rethink about their website and their video content strategy and everything. This is amazing. And I'd love to hear, are there any examples of great videos, brands who do great videos and who lead with their use of videos?
I think Nike always does a great job. Dove, Coca-Cola, those are sort of brands that have been around for years, but they're always using videos in a great way. Another favorite one of mine, it's a couple years old as well, is Dollar Shave Club. I don't know if you ever saw those videos, but I just fell in love with the way that was done, and that became a viral video campaign. There was humor. I think that's the other thing that people forget about is infusing humor in your videos and personality.
Right. Yes. Because humor connects.
Absolutely.
You can see that connection with people. Yeah. And is there any final tips that you'd love to give our listeners?
I would just say, again, just do video. Just create video. And if you don't create video, not to be the bearer of bad news, but you're going to be left behind because that's what people are consuming right now is video. So the other thing you can also think about is maybe you create a web series. Maybe you create, I don't know if you've ever seen where different brands create stories, or documentaries with their product. Like there's an Oreo commercial where it's a whole story and it has nothing to do with the product. At the end, the product comes into play, but it's about focusing on stories and how does your product invoke emotion?
Yeah. And at the end of the day, a brand is supposed to invoke that emotion. So video can probably tell it the best.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid. If you are afraid, there are resources out there to help you get over it. I'm happy to help you get over your fear and just go for it and just create video as much as you can, whether it's on your own or with a professional, but just do it.
Awesome. Thank you. And how can people find you if they want help with their video in terms of either producing it or just coming to you for coaching on producing video?
For video production, you can find me at www.mdmediainc.com. And if you want some on-camera coaching or video strategy sessions, I just launched a personal brand site, which is my name, michelledaides.com.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here today and just for sharing all your wisdom about video. It's super exciting. And I think that it's sometimes forgotten. And I know that I need a kick in the butt sometimes in terms of producing video. So I'm going to get right on it. And I'm sure all of our listeners will start to rethink their video strategy. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me. It was a blast. And yeah, I can't wait to start seeing your videos and everybody else's.
And I also heard you have some programs coming up.
I have 2 e-courses that I just launched. So my signature workshop that you've actually taken, Nicole, which is Comfortable on Camera, is now an e-course. So it's a digestible program that you can do on your own time, but I, share my tips and tricks and exercises for you to help get over your fear of the lens. And then my other program, e-course, is called Grow Your Business with Video. And again, it's a short mini course that helps you learn how to grow your product-based or service business with video. So it gives you different strategies and tips and looks at that strategy piece that we keep talking about and how important it is for leveraging your business.
Oh, that's awesome. So I'm going to link to that in the show notes. So it's going to be super helpful. Thank you so much once again for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Productpreneur Podcast. If you loved this episode, we'd be so grateful if you could take a sec to subscribe, share it, and review it on Apple Podcasts. Your review will help more women build their own dream product business. By the way, if you have any feedback, comments, or questions, email me at info@nicoledelarzac.com. Until next time, keep dreaming up those product ideas.